In the 8th year of my marriage to Tristan, he started keeping a girl on the side. The girl bore a striking resemblance to me before my disfigurement. She sat on his lap, her arms wrapped around his neck, cooing, "Who's prettier, me or your wife?" Tristan didn't hesitate. "You are." Of course, his friends jeered, telling him to divorce me and marry her. Tristan toyed with the girl's hand, his voice calm. "I'm not getting a divorce. Rachel was disfigured because of me. She's my responsibility." After that day, I aborted the child I had longed for years and left that city. Later, when a disheveled Tristan begged for my forgiveness, I pointed to the young neighbor in the hospital bed, injured because of me, and smiled serenely. "He's my responsibility too." Holding the ultrasound report confirming my pregnancy, my hands trembled as I called Tristan, but he didn't answer. Remembering it was his friend's birthday, I went to the private club they frequented. Through the slightly ajar door of the private room, I saw a young girl sitting on Tristan's lap, her arms draped around his neck as she purred, "Who's prettier, me or your wife?" Tristan affectionately ruffled her hair, replying without a moment's hesitation, "You are." "Of course," the girl giggled, turning her head to reveal a face that looked remarkably like mine, or rather, like mine before the accident, with Rachel's face so ruined. "I say you should just divorce her and marry our dear Vivian," said Ken, Tristan's best friend. Tristan played with the delicate, pale hand in his tone even. "I'm not getting a divorce. Rachel was disfigured because of me. She's my responsibility." Ken raised his glass to him. "Back when she was disfigured, you insisted on marrying her. We all bet you wouldn't last 3 months. You've lasted 8 years. I salute you, man." Another friend chimed in, laughing. "How can you even stand to kiss a face like that every night?" The room erupted in laughter. Tristan's eyes narrowed, and a low chuckle rumbled from his throat. "You just have to turn off the lights." I had to take countless deep breaths before my trembling body could carry me away from there. I stumbled onto the steps outside, the memories of our intertwined fate flashing before my eyes like a revolving lantern. Tristan's parents were entrepreneurs. I was a poor student they sponsored. The year of our college entrance exams, I did exceptionally well and got into the same university as him. When his parents treated me to a meal, he fell for me at first sight. We were in love for 4 years. It was only just before graduation that I learned his family's company was on the brink of collapse, with its funds frozen and debts piling up. Around that time, his mother was diagnosed with late-stage pancreatic cancer and passed away within a month. His father, overwhelmed with grief, jumped from the 13th floor. Tristan took on the burden, working day and night to save the company. One day, driving while exhausted, he hit an 80-year-old girl, breaking her leg. The girl's father, in a fit of rage, threw a bottle of acid at him. I shielded him. My left cheek and neck have been covered in horrific scars ever since. During that time, Tristan hid every mirror and reflective surface in the house, crying and begging me not to give up. He said, "Rachel, you're all I have left." I believed him. I can't remember how long the tissue expander was embedded in my back, stretching the skin, harvesting it for a graft, then embedding it again, harvesting again, until there was enough for the surgery. Over the years, I've had more than 10 plastic surgeries. With his encouragement and my hopes for the future, I never shed a single tear. But now, my face was streaked with them. It suddenly started to rain. A girl passing by stopped and stared at my face, her eyes filled with pity. She hesitated, then thrust her umbrella into my hand and ran to catch a nearby bus. I wiped my tears, opened the umbrella, and hailed a taxi to the hospital to schedule an abortion. I had once desperately wanted a child with Tristan. Now, all I wanted was to put an end to this relationship. I stayed home for 2 days after the procedure. Tristan came back once. Seeing me asleep, he left in a hurry, leaving behind only the faint scent of perfume. After leaving the divorce papers, I took my 24-inch suitcase and boarded a bus back to my hometown. My parents died when I was young. In my sophomore year of college, my grandmother, who had raised me, also passed away. I had no family, only my homeland. After 3 days in the arms of his new love, Tristan started to feel a bit bored. He bought Rachel's favorite cake and went home, but she wasn't there. After her disfigurement, Rachel was afraid to see people. He had to let go of their live-in maid and hire a part-time cleaner instead. He asked the cleaner, who said she hadn't seen Rachel in 2 days. Tristan put down the cake and called her. "The number you have dialed is currently busy. Please try again later." He tried again. The same mechanical voice. Rachel had no family and had lost touch with her old friends after the accident. Where could she have gone? Tristan frowned and lit a cigarette. His phone buzzed. He grabbed it, a look of disappointment on his face. A message from Vivian. "Tristan, "Are you coming over tonight?" He didn't reply. He finished his cigarette and called a third time. "Still busy." Panic started to set in. He sent her a message. "Where did you go?" A red exclamation mark appeared next to it. She had blocked him. Tristan went to the balcony and lit another cigarette. Trying to remember the past few days, he realized his memories of her were sparse. He only remembered her saying she felt nauseous and was going to the hospital for a checkup. Oh, right. On Ken's birthday, she had called him, but he had missed it. He had drunk too much that night and hadn't gone home. He forgot about it the next day. If she was angry about that, Tristan dismissed the thought. Rachel wasn't that petty. It wasn't the first time he hadn't answered her call. All his friends had their wives checking up on them when they went out. Rachel never did. She trusted him unconditionally. After thinking it over, Tristan concluded that she might be in danger. He should report her missing. As he went to get his ID, he saw a file folder on the nightstand. Inside were divorce papers, 3 copies, all signed by Rachel. He recognized her handwriting. Tristan suddenly laughed. A bitter, angry sound. He gritted his teeth and tore the papers to shreds. In the small town in late autumn, fallen leaves piled up, and a chilly breeze cut through the air, clearing one's head. I walked aimlessly down the street with my suitcase and turned into a coffee shop on the corner. It was called a coffee shop, but the scent of osmanthus was stronger than that of coffee. The owner was a young man. When he saw my face, his smile froze. I subconsciously touched my cheek. "Did I scare you?" He seemed agitated, opening his mouth but making no sound. Just as I was about to leave, he spoke. "Don't you remember me, Rachel?" It was Leo. The little neighbor boy who used to follow me around had grown into a handsome young man. After we caught up, he made me a bowl of sweet rice balls and osmanthus fermented rice wine. I was surprised. "Why does a coffee shop sell this?" Leo handed me a spoon and smiled. "Because you like it." "Of course, I like it too." I sighed and pushed the bowl toward him. "You have it." "I just had an abortion. I can't have anything with alcohol." I added, "I'm divorced." The smile vanished from Leo's face. His clenched fists were white-knuckled, and his voice trembled. "Did he do something to hurt you?" "Did he? I suppose so. But matters of the heart can't be explained in a sentence or two. You're still young. Don't worry about adult things," I said, changing the subject with a smile. Leo's eyes widened. "I'm still young. I'm only 5 years younger than you. I'll be 27 next month." I was dazed for a moment. From 18 to 32, almost half my life had been intertwined with Tristan. Frustrated by the divorce papers, Tristan organized a get-together. Familiar place, familiar people. The same noisy scene that used to briefly numb his unhappiness now only made him more irritable. He sat in a corner, downing one drink after another. Ken walked over with a glass, pointing to Vivian, who was playing on her phone. "Something on your mind? Why don't you have Vivian keep you company?" Tristan downed another glass and laughed self-deprecatingly. "Rachel wants to divorce me." The boisterous room fell silent. Tristan snatched Ken's phone and dialed Rachel's number. It rang for a long time before she answered. "Tristan," she said calmly, "you have 2 minutes." Tristan's hand tightened around the phone. He wanted to ask where she was, why she wanted a divorce, if she had fallen for someone else, but with all eyes on him, his pride got the better of him. He said something else instead. "Rachel, are you having fun out there? When you're done with your tantrum, come back. I can pretend this never happened." There was a long silence on the other end. A sudden, immense sense of loss gripped him. Tristan bit down hard on the knuckle of his left index finger. It was a habit he had developed 10 years ago when his family fell apart. Back then, everyone had avoided him. Only Rachel had stood by his side. She would gently pry his hand open and offer her own. "If you really need to bite something, bite me." On countless sleepless nights, she would hold him and whisper, "Tristan, be strong. You still have me. I'll always be with you." The salty taste of blood filled his mouth. Tristan realized his finger was bleeding. His heart pounded violently, a lump forming in his throat. "Where are you?" "I'll come get you," he said, his voice unsteady and hoarse. "Tristan," Rachel said, her tone still flat, "let's get a divorce." The line went dead. Tristan's hand hung in the air, his expression blank for a moment. 6 years of dating, 8 years of marriage. Rachel had never even argued with him, but this time, she wanted a divorce without even giving a reason. "Come on, let's keep drinking," Ken said, trying to smooth things over. He gave Vivian a look, and she quickly brought over a fruit platter. "Tristan, have a grape." The next second, the platter was knocked to the floor. Tristan stood up, his face dark, and chugged a bottle of liquor. Vivian was terrified and stood frozen. After finishing the bottle, Tristan felt a bit less agitated. He pulled Vivian into his arms and said through gritted teeth, "If she wants a divorce, fine. It's not like I don't have other women." Fueled by alcohol, he had his friends who were connected with Rachel post photos of him with Vivian. Rachel loved him so much. He refused to believe she wouldn't be jealous, but as the night wore on, he received no call from her. He stubbornly borrowed a friend's phone and sent her a question mark. 1, 2, 3. Rachel had blocked all of his friends. His eyes darkened, and he suddenly laughed. As he staggered out, Vivian tried to help him, but he pushed her away with a cold "get lost," leaving her in tears. Tristan returned home under the cover of dusk and collapsed on the sofa, yanking open the buttons of his collar, but his chest still felt tight. There was no hangover soup, no concerned scolding, no one to put his mind at ease. It was unsettling. He looked at his watch. 1:40 a.m. She must be asleep. He went into the bedroom. Everything was as it was. On the nightstand was a photo from their junior year, when they had gone hiking. Rachel, her hair in a bun, stood on the steps behind him, pulling his ear, her smile bright. That was before the accident. Her smile had 2 shallow dimples, and he had fallen for her again and again. He caressed the girl in the photo, feeling dazed. When he came to his senses, he decided he had to find her. A divorce. He would not agree. I was temporarily staying at Leo's house. His parents had divorced and remarried. After his grandfather passed away 2 years ago, he found his job meaningless, so he used his savings to open a coffee shop that also sold Osmantha's sweet rice balls. Business was good. He had 1 employee besides himself. I went to the shop with him every day, helping out when it was busy and writing my novel when it was not. After my disfigurement, I rarely went out. I had made some money from writing, not a lot, but enough to support myself. Life passed peacefully for a week, until Tristan showed up. The coffee shop was quiet in the evening. He sat down directly opposite me. "Rachel, we need to talk." I had thought facing him would bring pain, resentment, and anger, but I was surprisingly calm. I closed my laptop, cupped the warm milk Leo had just brought me, and said evenly, "I've already signed the divorce papers. Let's find a time to go to the civil affairs office and finalize it. I don't agree to a divorce." Tristan reached for my hand, but I moved it away. He was getting anxious. "Is it because you can't get pregnant?" "It's okay if we can't have children. We can adopt. My parents are gone. I don't have any desire to carry on the family line. You don't have to feel so guilty." He knew I had dreamed of having my own child, but for 8 years, I had been in and out of plastic surgery. When my wish finally came true, I didn't have the courage to bring him into a world where he would witness his parents' mutual dislike. But these past few days, I had dreamed every night of a child calling me mommy and asking why I didn't want him. I would wake up with a tear-streaked face, but Tristan didn't know. He continued to comfort me. "We can also do IVF. You can have as many as you want." I suppressed the storm of emotions in my heart and asked, "Haven't you fallen for someone else?" Tristan was taken aback and quickly explained, "That was all for show. It won't affect your position as Mrs. Cheen. We've been together for 14 years. Don't you know how I feel about you?" I really didn't. Before that day, I had always thought he loved me, just as I loved him. I never thought about why he came home later and later, why he spent less and less time with me. I stood up to leave, but he grabbed my wrist. "Rachel, stop it. Come home with me." "Let go of her." Leo rushed over, pried his hand off, and pulled me into his arms, glaring at Tristan. "She said she doesn't want to go with you." Tristan looked Leo up and down, then at me, his voice as cold as ice. "You want a divorce because of him, don't you?" "Yes," I said, exhausted, not wanting to argue anymore. Tristan's face turned dark, his chest heaving. "Fine, just don't regret it." He slammed the door on his way out. I thanked Leo. He scratched his head awkwardly, a faint smile on his face. "Why don't you consider me?" I gave a bitter laugh. "I'm in such a mess right now." "Sister, don't joke like that." He smiled awkwardly and dropped the subject. A moment later, I heard arguing from the kitchen. The employee Leo had hired, a pretty young girl named Sarah, was yelling at him. "I gave up a high-paying job to stay with you in this godforsaken town for over a year, and now you're telling me you only see me as a friend. I didn't know you felt that way about me." "I'm sorry, I've been in love with someone for a long time." Not wanting to eavesdrop, I was about to leave when Sarah's words rang out clearly. "The person you love is that ugly freak Rachel, isn't it? Can't you see that huge scar on her face?" With a loud crash, a basin hit the floor. Leo's voice rose sharply. "She's not ugly. She's the most beautiful girl in the world to me." Before he finished, Sarah ran out, crying, and shot me a glare before leaving. Leo came out as I was trying to slip away. Rachel, he called out, quickly moving to block my path. Since you heard everything, I can't hide it anymore. I love you. Seeing my silence, he gave a helpless smile and added, you can think of me as a backup, too. Don't feel pressured. Leo stood with his head tilted, a drop of water still clinging to his dark bangs. His clear eyes were like a deep ocean, filled with love. They reflected my own brokenness. I looked down at the floor, silent for a long time, then looked up at him and said, I'm sorry. That night, I quickly rented a place and moved out of his house. Leo didn't try to stop me, but he insisted on taking me to the rental, making sure I was safe before he left. I stood on the balcony, watching his figure disappear into the night, then went downstairs and bought a bottle of white liquor. It was ironic. I had used plenty of rubbing alcohol over the years, but I had never had a single drink. I sat on the balcony, drinking the whole bottle with the evening breeze. My troubles vanished, but my stomach churned, and a sharp pain twisted inside me until I passed out. I woke up in the hospital. Leo was looking at me with concern. Does it still hurt? I shook my head, a pang of guilt in my heart. I had decided to live well, so why was I abusing myself and dragging others down with me? Leo gazed at me, a clear smile on his lips. Do you remember your childhood dream? Of course, I did. Back then, I craved my grandmother's osmanthus sweet rice balls more than anything. I dreamed of opening a shop one day so more people could taste them. Later, as I tasted more and more delicious things, I gradually forgot that flavor and that dream. I had come so far, but I had forgotten why I started. My eyes widened in surprise. So that's why you opened the shop? He didn't answer, instead pulling the blanket over my exposed arm. When he looked up, his eyes were filled with emotion. The year of your accident, I secretly went to see you. I saw Tristan outside the operating room, crying his eyes out. I thought then that even though you were a bit of a love-struck fool, at least you had loved the right person. After you got married, I tried dating, but I kept seeing your face in my mind. I knew then I was done for. The osmanthus sweet rice balls are our shared memory. I wanted to hold on to it. Leo smiled. Am I a fool? I clenched my jaw, but I couldn't find the courage or strength to speak. I just shook my head, then nodded. When we are young, we think loving someone is for a lifetime. We don't realize that people are the most fickle of creatures. In all those years with Tristan, the initial love was real, and so was the later disdain. Leo gently cupped my face, making me look at him. Rachel, give me a chance to love you. You don't have to love me back, so you won't get hurt again. I finally nodded. After all, besides my heart, I had nothing left to lose. Tristan left the coffee shop and stood by the river for a long time, the cold wind whipping against him. Then he went to Vivian's place. The spacious apartment in the city center was a gift from him. His friends teased him about his golden cage for a beautiful bird. 6 months ago, Vivian had come to his company as an intern. Seeing her face, so similar to Rachel's, he couldn't resist. Tristan, you haven't been here in days, Vivian said, wearing a pale pink silk slip dress that clung to her curves. Tristan pushed her hands from his neck. Get me a drink. Vivian was taken aback but, sensing his mood, quickly brought him a drink. Let me have a drink with you, Tristan. He ignored her, downing the glass in one gulp. He then sat by the floor-to-ceiling window, staring at the city lights, a sourness rising in his heart. His parents were gone. Rachel, who had loved him with all her heart, now loved someone else. He lit a cigarette and took a deep drag, the smoke making his eyes water. Tristan, slow down, Vivian said, hugging him from behind, her voice soft. Stay with me tonight. Okay. The strong scent of her perfume sobered him up a little. His gaze fell on her carefully made-up face, and his eyes darkened. He suddenly felt that she didn't look like Rachel at all. Tristan took a card from his pocket and pressed it into her hand. Take this. I won't be coming back. Don't look for me again. Vivian was stunned, realizing he was breaking up with her. She panicked. Tristan, did I do something wrong? I can change. Her sobbing only irritated him more. He grabbed his coat and left, returning to the home he had shared with Rachel. No matter how late he used to come home, Rachel would always leave a light on for him. Now, the 2-story house was dark. On the large bed that still held her scent, Tristan slept soundly. He dreamed of the first time he met her, when he heard that the poor student his parents sponsored had gotten into the same university as him. He had scoffed. His parents' kindness had bred some ungrateful people over the years, and he had a low opinion of them. But when he saw the girl waiting under the osmanthus tree, his heart skipped a beat. Rachel was wearing a simple t-shirt and faded jeans, carrying a large woven bag and a basket of eggs. Uncle, Auntie, these are from our own chickens. Grandma asked me to bring them for you, she said, her voice soft but sweet. Tristan was captivated. The harsh words he had prepared vanished. He just blushed and said, "Hi, I'm Tristan." Rachel was a very well-behaved girl. She had never been in a relationship, so the first time he confessed his feelings, she teared up before he could finish. Her voice choked. "The money my family owes you, I will pay it back slowly. I'm not that kind of person." Her lips were pressed tightly together, her shoulders trembling slightly, her round eyes were filled with tears, but she stubbornly held them back. For the first time, Tristan felt completely at a loss, but he really liked her. He pursued her relentlessly, confessing his feelings several more times. The last time, Rachel clutched her skirt nervously and gave a small nod. He joyfully lifted her up and spun her around until they both tumbled onto the soccer field. The first time they kissed, her face turned bright red, and her ears burned. She kept her eyes squeezed shut, too shy to look at him. Her lips were as soft as cotton candy, with a hint of sweetness. Tristan thought he would never get tired of it. He introduced her to his parents, planning to marry her after graduation, until his family's sudden downfall, until the bottle of corrosive acid was thrown. Tristan woke with a start, gasping for breath in the darkness, his back drenched in cold sweat. At 5 a.m., he smoked a whole pack of cigarettes on the balcony. As the first rays of sunlight appeared, he got in his car and drove to the small town where Rachel was. At 10 a.m., the coffee shop was empty. Through the glass window, Tristan saw Rachel sitting in the same corner as before, her fingers tapping away at the keyboard. He knew she was writing a novel. The male protagonist of her first novel was him. A rich young master falls in love with the poor student his family sponsors. Such a moving love story. Rachel had given them a perfect ending. In real life, if not for the accident, they should have had that too. As Tristan stood there, lost in thought, Leo brought a glass of milk to Rachel's table. She cupped it with both hands and looked up to speak to him. He leaned down, listening intently. They must have said something funny, because she laughed happily. Tristan tried to remember the last time he had seen her laugh. These past few years, she had been in and out of surgery, always melancholic. He had thought she had changed and had sought her old self in other women. Seeing her laugh so happily with another man, Tristan felt as if a piece of his heart had been torn out. The pain spread silently. When he came to his senses, his left index finger was bleeding again. Leo saw him outside and came out. The thought that Rachel had loved this man for 14 years and had been disfigured for him filled Leo with a fierce jealousy. He frowned, his eyes sharp and cold. "What are you doing here?" "I'm here to see my wife." "What's it to you?" Tristan started to go inside, but Leo grabbed his arm. "She doesn't want to see you. Rachel is my wife. What right do you have to stop me from seeing her? She's my girlfriend now." Tristan's eyes were a dangerous red. He shook off Leo's hand and grabbed his collar, his voice hoarse. "You're a despicable opportunist." A barely perceptible smirk touched Leo's lips. He sneered, "Tristan, you're the sanctimonious hypocrite. You were never worthy of Rachel's love. If you can't make her happy, then don't occupy the position of her husband." Tristan's fists clenched, his knuckles turning white. "As long as I don't agree to a divorce, she will always be my wife, and you will just be a mistress who has to hide in the shadows." Leo threw a punch. Tristan spat and grabbed his collar again. The two of them were soon scuffling. By the time Rachel heard the commotion and came out, both men were bruised and battered. "Are you okay?" she asked, taking Leo's hand with concern. Leo let out a long hiss, then pointed to his scraped ear. "It hurts." Rachel stood on her toes and gently blew on it. "Rachel, I'm hurt too," Tristan said, his voice low and hoarse, like a dry riverbed, filled with desperation and longing. She looked over, her voice calm. "If you need it, Mr. Cheen, I can call an ambulance for you." Tristan had never seen this cold, distant Rachel. He reached for her, but Leo blocked him. He shoved him instinctively, and Leo's head hit the steps hard. "Leo!" Rachel screamed and rushed to his side. The wound was treated, but Leo's head had been hit hard. He was blind. The blindness might be temporary, but if his retina was damaged, it could be permanent. Hearing the doctor's words, I trembled. Tristan had been following me with his head down, silent. "Tristan," I said, rubbing my tired forehead, "what will it take for you to agree to a divorce and let me go?" Tristan was flustered, his eyes darting around, his fingers trembling. "Rachel, I don't want a divorce. If you're unhappy with me, I can change. Don't leave me, please." I gave a sad smile. Tristan's parents had been kind to me. He was my first love, the man I had loved with all my heart. So even if the love was gone, I wanted to leave with some dignity, to swallow the pain and wait for time to heal the wound. But he wouldn't let go. Tristan, I said, looking up at him, my lips trembling. You said I was disfigured because of you, that marrying me was your responsibility. Well, from today on, I don't need you to be responsible for me anymore. I pointed to Leo in the hospital bed and smiled lightly. Besides, I have my own responsibilities to bear now. Tristan seemed to understand something. He gritted his teeth, his lips and gaze trembling. Rachel, I was wrong. Seeing his pain and struggle, I felt surprisingly calm. Perhaps it was hearing him say that marrying me was just a responsibility, or maybe it was the cold instrument stirring inside me, severing our last connection. After a long silence, I spoke again, my voice calm. Tristan, we're over. Let it be. There's no need to forget the past, just to move on. Tristan never imagined that Rachel would overhear what he had said at the club, but when he received the call from the hospital, he broke down completely, covering his face and sobbing. So that was why she had gone to the club. She had found out she was pregnant and couldn't wait to share the news with him. And at that moment, he was holding Vivian, saying those denigrating words. How desperate she must have been to abort the child she had longed for, to leave without even waiting for a follow-up appointment. He, for the sake of his own pathetic pride, had cut her, piece by piece, pushing their years of love into an abyss. Only now did he understand her resolve, but it was too late. For so many years, he had been treated with such gentleness by her that he had forgotten she was a woman who could not tolerate a single grain of sand in her eye. Tristan remembered her once saying, "If one day you fall in love with someone else, please let me leave with dignity." At that time, he had beaten his chest and promised, Tristan will only ever love Rachel. He had failed her. He hadn't even left her with her dignity. Tristan sat on the hospital steps, biting his hand hard, forcing himself to calm down and think about how he had gotten to this point. The memory he feared most suddenly surfaced. At his father's memorial service, an angry middle-aged man had thrown a bottle of an unknown liquid. Then, Rachel's heart-wrenching screams, the shouts from the crowd, in the hospital corridor. He had squatted by the operating room, staring at the lit-up sign, his palms sweating. Not long before, in the same place, he had lost his mother, then his broken father. He, who did not believe in gods, had prayed for the first time. Fortunately, she was okay in the end, just scarred. He would not mind, but later, he had dreamed of that scene countless times. The urge to escape grew stronger. He began to avoid Rachel, to avoid that home, but he had always known, deep down, that it wasn't her he was running from, but that dark time, and the helpless version of himself. I was cooking for Leo when I received the divorce papers from Tristan. After his blindness, Leo had become very clingy, as if he were a child again. His parents had disliked each other but had dragged out their divorce. Whenever they fought, his grandfather would ask me to look after him before rushing off to mediate. Over time, he had become my little shadow, until I left for college. After the meal was ready, I put the bowl and spoon in his hands. Leo opened his mouth. "I can't see. You have to feed me, sister." I sighed and reached for the spoon. He quickly pecked me on the cheek. My eyes widened. "You can see." Leo nodded, mumbling, "Actually, I've been able to see for a while." I was exasperated. "And you've been pretending to be blind for days." Leo's voice was full of, "I was afraid that if you knew I was okay, you wouldn't want to be responsible for me anymore." He paused, then took my hand and rubbed it gently, stammering, "I heard what you two said that day. So, can I apply to be your official boyfriend now?" Although I had agreed to give it a try, we had not crossed any lines, not even held hands. Perhaps afraid of my rejection, Leo had always been well-behaved, a stark contrast to the boy now clinging to my leg, demanding a title. I almost laughed. "Leo," I said, crouching down and cupping his face, "look at my face. It might not make a child cry, but it still gets strange looks on the street. Are you sure you want me to be your girlfriend?" Leo suddenly hugged me, very tightly, as if to merge me into his body. I felt the warmth of his embrace as his hoarse voice came from above. "Rachel, you are my youth. Fortunately, you are also my future. From today on, you don't have to do anything. Just wait for me to come to you." Many people were invited to Rachel and Leo's wedding. Tristan hid in a corner, watching her smile, brighter than the day they first met. At their own wedding, because of her face, he had only invited a few people, but Leo's love was open and unabashed, blooming in the sunlight. He had lost completely. Tristan finally realized that what had pushed Rachel further and further away was his own selfishness and cowardice. He was not worthy of such a girl. For many years after, he never saw her again, but he would hear news of her from time to time. She had a daughter. Her novel won an award. She started going out more. She took up photography. She had become the smiling girl from his memories again. Time flew by. One day, looking in the mirror, Tristan noticed that his hair was mostly gray, and he was still alone. The scent of osmanthus from outside the window reminded him of Rachel again. He suddenly wanted to visit their old university, the place that held most of their happy memories. The university was holding its opening ceremony for new students. He saw a face that overlapped with his memory. An 18-year-old girl, representing the new students, was giving a speech. She was bright, confident, and poised, raised in a loving family. Her name was Summer. Amid the thunderous applause, he smiled, but a tear quietly rolled down his cheek.